Yo, welcome to StreamR Homegame review. So for those who don't know, why the lighting is so weird. All right. For those who don't know, StreamR Homegame is exclusive running ones table of PLO 16 where all the players are streamers who are regularly streaming on the Twitch for running ones. There's me. Then on my left is Not Racing, Chamisi, Aruklas, Pokeboots, New Face, New Kid on the Block, and the notorious The Fan 83. And we were playing hefty 2 or 3 hour session, included some drinking, wild action, and I don't know why it starts with a hand where we have already 20 hands in the hard, because alright, it is. For some reason it is. I feel that hands where the VPIP is true, and seems that we have played a few orbits already, or then the HUD is just broken. There's some had to do some magic to get the hands to replayer with the names. Sorry, we don't have all the whole cards because the hand history was broken at the moment of the home games, and running ones can retrieve the hands with the whole cards for me. So we have to play with the normal hand histories. So if we know any of the whole cards at Showdown, they are visible right from the beginning. But most hands, there's no whole cards if the hand doesn't go to Showdown. And I feel that hands where my VPIP was true, my overall stats was around VPIP 70 or so. So there's going to be a lot of hands I played very low aggressive. I hope it was entertaining. It's definitely not plus EV, but it was fun for sure. So let's get started. And remember, we don't have any delay. So it's blind versus blind. Fan opens. Of course, I defend because I defend almost 100%. And board is ace high. Very small C bet. Like almost 1/4. But we have nothing, so let's just skip the situation. Jammy opens. I defend because I wanted to play almost every hand. And we see the flop. We have flush draw. Jammy checks. So let's start to bet. And plan was to barrel the river unless a spade comes. And 9. He's a decent. He should have some overpairs in his range for sure. But I block the kings, and if he has pocket jacks, it's not easy to catch here. Or if he has smaller pocket pairs. So stab is fine. He folds. We don't know what he folds because we don't see the whole cards, which kind of sucks. Pocket aces versus Chami paired board. Let's check it. And I would like to bet here. This is, I don't know what happened here. I don't like the second check. If he had a check, he would bet the turn for sure. So now I just give free card to the diamonds and everything. And there it is. And I don't like this. Should bet the turn for sure. Bad me. And then it's just, we don't see the flop. Okay, now we are facing nuts racing and we actually see the hand. He 3-bets, I call, and then on the flop, cut shot, flush draw. Versus his actual hand, top 2, we are 53-47, so I would assume that we can raise here in 3-bet pot. No, we just call. Tricky me. Hello, Fox. Then we make the nuts. But he has the flush draw, so even... Oh, it's not the nuts, but close to it. With the straight, we are 68% favorite. Not raising pots. We get it in. Nice shot. This is where my downfall started. I remember in the session, the first big hand, and I do win, but later there's a hand, it wasn't this one. This was played on 14th of January, so can't remember everything. I was a bit drunk. But there's a hand where not racing wins a big pot, and then after that, I think I was almost 10 binds down in the middle of the session. But it seems that, let's see. I'm not sure if every hand is here imported, but we will have what we have. Multi-way pot, and the one that stabs first often wins when no one has anything. And we don't know what other class has, which is a shame. Last time we had the holo cards, and next time we will have the holo cards. It might be that here in the beginning of the session I wasn't that aggressive. I would like to see a 3-bet here instead of going for multi-way pot. Okay, then we are versus Chami. Top pair. And now we have top pair with open-ender. And goes to showdown and we win. I'm not sure. Well, Chami isn't that aggressive. He is playing more of a more balanced poker. So they're taking a free river there. Then we have a crappy hand, but we are not giving up on the blinds. No way, Jose. Inside wrap. And then we have pair and slightly bigger wrap. And no lead here. And just give up. Just giving up. Okay, then we 3-bet the fan. Bad timing. And he makes a 4-bet. And in the last home games before this one, Fan made some 4-bets with rundowns. So his 4-bet range wasn't pocket aces. And I remember when playing here, I thought that I don't have, if I had ace in my hand, it would be snap shove. But I don't have ace, then I thought that, okay, if he has pocket aces, then I often have 40% on average. Now he's blocking my straight draws. So I'm only 25, but I thought that worst case scenario, I have 35 to 40. Oh, heck yeah. Because if I just call, the flop is going to be quite hard anyways. And I know, or at least the last time we played, his 4-bet range was a bit wider than aces. But the fan has played a lot of PLO since that. I don't know if in this game his 4-bet range would be wider. But I just get it in. And I pick up outs. And I still have outs. And then I don't have outs. And that's lost buy-in. Jacks, middle pair. I would like to bet now. I don't. Why am I so passive here? Oh man, and then I fold the river when I block the straight. Why am I playing this way? Shame on you, Kyyberi. If I mean, this is not consistent. Flop check is fine, but then he checks twice. Well, okay, he might have a queen. He might have kings. I don't think he has a 5 often when he checks. And I could bet for just protection. I mean, there's a ton of hands that have a shitload of equity that I beat. But if I decide to check the turn, I cap myself quite heavily. And then he stabs half a pot. And I definitely should call here. I don't like that hero fold. Not raising. I don't respect his opens, so of course I 3-bet. It's double suited, and he open folds. Most likely an pocket pair of some kind. Total crap. Let's steal the blinds. On the flop, no flush draws, but me and straight draws. And with 10 and 6, we are blocking a lot of straight draws. I would like to bet here. versus Jammy. And I don't, and then I pick up the double cut shot and still passive. Why am I so passive? Doesn't make sense. I don't know why. I should go back in time and ask myself why you are so passive that you give up the spots for opponent to stab so easily. And then here's a lead I don't like unless I barrel the river. Because he's going to call this turn with a lot of hands. So I would hope it doesn't matter if it's 6. I should barrel if I decide to start betting turns and make that overpair folds. And I do end the fan folds, which is nice. So now I was consistent. Versus not raising. I actually would like to just fold versus not. He is, in my mind, he's under bluffing these spots. But of course I can't. Then I pick up the flush, and now should I fold? Oh my god, Mr. Not Raising. I don't know what what I was thinking here. What did I put him on the turn? And then on the river, it was like, see what happens. Yeah, he bets. I remember that. Not Raising shouldn't have pocket kings. What I know about Not Raising, of course, I don't know how he plays in the home games, but he's quite conservative. He doesn't go crazy often. So I don't think he's going to bet try kings. So in order to have kings, he would need to have king, 6, 7, and with that kind of hands, I'm super confident that he would check it back. So it was really hard to put him on try kings here. Pocket aces would 3-bet for sure, 400 pips deep. So the only hand that beats me now is queens or a 5. And then pocket queens doesn't sound like barreling the turn. But not raising, I mean, sorry, this is where I went wrong. Not raising could barrel the turn with some kind of draw, like not flush draw with 6, 7, 8. But he wouldn't bet that on the flop. So it really much looks like a 5, but then when the third 5 comes, it's so hard to believe that he has the quads. And I went to tank, and then I called, but I think I should fold on the turn already, even on the flop versus not raising. But in a mind, if I'm like, if not raising would say that I don't have a 5, then I think the call would be a lot easier. Of course, he would never say that, but let's say we have lie detector, and he doesn't know we have, and we asked, do you have a 5? And he said no. Big blind defense, bad flop. Pocket aces, not raising 3 bets. We 4 bet, and he 3 bet folds, which is, well, pocket kings is the only hand that in my mind he should do that kind of stuff. No action. And then we 3-bet fan to isolate. He calls. And he picks up 2 pairs. And I just give up. And I don't even bluff the river. I think that yeah, I don't think he's bluffing the turn often because in my check back range I have a lot of flush draws, and then on the river it doesn't make sense for him to bet the hand, so he wins with nice double suited crappy hand. Now the splash depot 16 cents, which is 1 BB splash, and I don't know how starts to open, and of course I fight for the splash, but this is bad call. This is not good poker, but if you want to have fun, why not chase the set? We don't hit the set, and we don't hit the turn. And I was wondering, like, what could they have? I mean, I have a 3, then I have some 2-pair outs. 8 is most likely an out, and I do have a weak flush draw, and I get a great price. So, didn't even call. I was so sure that I should call. And then there's set versus 2 pairs, and not raising wins with awesome hand. And once again, oh, I played so many hands with Chami. My stats at the moment was 63, 34, 21. And it stayed like that for the session. Top 2 pairs, and he raises me. And it's either a straight or it's some kind of hand with at least 1-7. Not going to fold once. Hoping the third would be a kind of scare card that makes him check and we can go to river. And he bets big on the turn. I fold. I believe that's how he would play the blockers, but we don't pick up the backdoor flush draw or any additional outs. So just giving up. But it would be nice to see if he had a straight or just the pocket sevens. And then there's 4BB splash. And we fight for the splash money. And then weird donk bet from other class. Had my respect. Low board, betting, not sure what chamois. Well, he would probably call with any pocket pair. And that would be a great card to barrel. He shouldn't call the flop with ace high often, but he has a lot of underpairs to ace, queens, jacks, kings. But he calls again, which sucks, and then he bets the river, which doesn't make sense in any way. No idea what he has. Could have a 3. Not raising 3 bets, we call, and we hit the double cut shot. I can't remember if I put the money in here or later. Versus that sizing, which is weird. I wouldn't mind even shoving here. That doesn't really change anything, except he checks, which we can see his hand. And then we do make the straight. He does have the higher straight, so I just put it, representing a missed flush draw, hoping him to catch up with 2 pair or even aces. We have the second nuts, or we actually have the third nut straight. No, second nut, sorry. Right. And we are blocking with the 9. And he shoves, and I was like, I remember in normal PLO table, if this wasn't the StreamR Homegame, I would fold my second nuts. Because nut raisings, normally nut raisings raise range here is 10-9. Nothing else. I've never seen him raise second nuts here. But I have only €4 behind. Pot is going to be 34, 35. And nut raising knows it's stream, so he might make a hero raise with pocket 10s. Like 10-7 with spades or something. And if I fold, and nut raising was streaming at the same time, so in a multi tweets and in nut raising, everyone can see. If I fold second nuts here and he has that blocker bluff, that would be so painful. And I remember saying while I was streaming that in normal game, and the other guys, that if this was normal table without a StreamR Homegame, I would fold my hand. But here, when all the viewers can see the whole cards, the pain would be so awesome that I'm happy to pay €4 so that I guarantee that it doesn't happen. So I made the call. I was 99% confident that he had the nuts and I'm going to lose it, which he did. But if there's even 1% chance that he has just pocket tens here, I couldn't live with the pain. He would remind me out of that fold for the rest of my life. So I made it because I don't want to be bluffed on streamed poker. But that was a bit unlucky. and then open and pick up the pot. Versus arrow class. Do I raise here? No. Why don't I raise versus that sizing? Oh boy, that's a missed chance. Aces and nothing on the flop. Well, we don't have any good turns, so let's just bet here, generate fold equity. If he calls, we might go to showdown and win. We might get a super lucky run out. But I think betting is way better than checking, especially versus Pocket Boots, who I don't think is making a lot of moves. He was 10 and 8 so far, so he was playing tight. I think you could assume that he's not bluffing on this session. So he calls, he has something, that's a great turn. Let's just put it SPR1, and he folds. And then back-to-back aces, no action, it was even double suited. Bummer. Defending big blind, missing the flop, folding, nothing special there. And then we have aces versus jammies. Crappy hand. Of course, he flops two pair and open ender. Check, check. On the turn, we pick up the cut shot with the top pair. Check, check. And on the river, he bets really small. Nice value bet. No way I can fold this one for that sizing. And he picks up the pot. Then we have Pocket Boots, who 3-bets in position we call. And, oh boy, we flop the pair and flush draw. And now, I like his sizing. If he pots here, it kind of tells me that, okay, he's ready to stack off. But with that sizing, he could easily bet fold naked aces. And I was thinking about, should I just call or should I raise and generate fold equity versus naked aces? And then versus naked aces, I would have decent equity. Now I'm crushed because he is blocking my, or dominating my flush draw. I have only 20%. I get it in really bad. But if he has dry aces, my equity would be a lot better. And we'll get it in and can't improve. So another bind down. Then there's 3BB splash. We are definitely seeing the flop. And we are flopping the middle pair with the nut flush draw. And I decided to lead because I was down for you buy-ins. And if you didn't know, in the StreamR Homegame, there was a Twitter promotion competition where everyone could say that who are they rooting for? Who are they thinking is going to be the biggest winner of the session out of the 6 of us? And those who picked the winner, €100 was given amongst them. And there were a few people who have picked me. So of course I wanted to be the biggest winner so they could win money. And now I was down for you buy-ins. So in order to come up as a biggest winner, I needed to put the pedal to the metal and to start to gamble. Because playing tight, conservative, no way I could be the biggest winner unless some serious setups happen. So here I have the nut draw. So let's just make sure when we have nut outs, the pot gets bigger. So in case we hit the nuts, we win a huge pot. But everyone folded, which was weird. So they respected my donk. Fan opens, we defend, and we flop. Nothing but the flush draw. Nothing but the flush draw and king high versus ace high, which he didn't bet at any point. I would bet the flop probably to protect the hand. Missing the flop, so why not stab half a pot and pick it up. And once again, hand versus fan, top pair and cut shot. Definitely calling 2 pairs. Let's protect bet. Make a protection bet. Really hard for him to have a straight when he checks the turn. He calls and prepares the board. It's a check. Let's see if the hand holds up, and it does. And we are starting to make some stack. And once again versus Fan. Most of the hands I played versus Fan or Jammy. Blind versus Fan, a lot of hands, and Button versus Big Blind versus Jammy, a lot of hands. Check, check. We have the inside wrap. Check, check. And check, check. And he builds it up with 9. Campbell mode. Missing the flop. When he checks it down, it's more of a protection bet. We didn't have hard while we were playing, so I had no idea how tight he was playing. And I was just having fun drinking beer, didn't pay too much attention. But tight players should connect this board very often. I'm not sure I like my bet. Unless I was ready to barrel any non-spade river. Trying to just suck out on pocket boots and then everyone calls. And Arrogance decides to make a pot raise here. And what? Oh yeah. Arrogance was quite conservative. I think this is his first 3-bet or the second in the session. And it looks like aces. Could be ace king king, but we are blocking that hand. So there's higher chance that it should be aces. And then Pokey makes a 5-bet. This is 100% guaranteed pocket aces. And then I thought that my hand is super crap, but if they both have aces, I have the best equity. And I decided to gamble. And then Arrogance folded, and I was like, oh fuck. But I need to pay here 22, then in the total pot of 50. So I needed like 40-45%. And versus Poke Boots pre-flop, I have 35. He has a 4, which lowers my equity, and he has 1 club. So if he had just range of ace, ace, XX, I would have 40%. So it was not the end of the world. But if Arrogance would have aces, I would have still the 40% equity in a huge pot. That would be awesome. And I don't make it. But it was not that horrible. Of course, it looks weird. And why would you shove pre-flop this kind of hand? Well, the idea was that other ones would have aces, and if they both have aces, these kind of hands are quite valuable, although they are crappy hands. Then there's a splash pot, which we are fighting for sure, and other ones makes another 3-bet, picking up the aggression. We flop just cut shot, nothing more. Then this is 100 pp splash pot. You can see here, if you're wondering why everyone is having such a bad hands, there's 16 euros in the pot splash money. So it's 100 pp splash. And I have a decent ace king double suited, so let's just put it, and if we can make even one player fold, it would be awesome. And Jammy actually folds here. He has to have a really bad hand. And then I don't get this one why Arrogance decides to shove pre-flop one. And then Fan shoves ace queen then 4, and I was like, what in the world is going on in here? We have 40%, we have the best equity, and I don't know why these guys are shoving these crappy hands. So let's get it in, and everyone gets it in. We have 40% to 136 euro pot. Like, if I win this one, then I would be in a good shape of being the biggest winner, and I actually had the best equity, which is weird. But then Arrogance decides to flop the flush. Queen then 5-7 and scoops up the main pot, and the Fan wins the side pot with... No, he doesn't win any side pots. He just gets his money back. Yeah. So 117 for Arrogance. What? I don't know why it's this way. Weird. But anyway, Otto has won a huge pot. That's the bottom line. With the absolute worst hand. Finally, for the splash money, middle pair decided to peel the turn. And then makes two pairs. Very small bet. And I can't remember what I was thinking here. This small turn bet looks more like a stab. It's a weird sizing on that board, to be honest, unless it's an inducement. So I don't know why he makes a small bet, and then things get really weird. Now suddenly other class decides to check raise. And I have no idea what he has, but the hand was really weird. Little bit, that's 8 BB splash. And Jammy 3 bets, fan calls, we call, and we miss the flop. And they fight for it. Another splash pot. Let's say YOLO and see the flop, which we have top pair only. And I decided to bet here because they shouldn't hit the 3-4 that often. And we have the blocker to 10. I don't like the stab. We don't have any fold equity versus over pairs. And if we get called, we can't really barrel much. So this is really bad bet. So please, kids, don't drink while you play poker, because this happens. You make bad plays, and then everyone calls, and there's the flush versus flush. Would like to see bet, and I would like to barrel the turn. Yep, a lot of fold equity versus his hands that beat me, king high, queen high hands. And then comes the check raise. We are blocking the 5. But there's not much we can do. We have just the card shot, so have to fold. But really weird raise. I don't think he has the straight. 2 pair, and he checks back. Then I start to bet for value, and do I bet the, yes, I bet the river for value too. And then comes the small raise. It's almost a mean raise, and what in the world? He could have the 5-8 or 5-3, but there's a lot of misdraws too. So I decided to bluff catch. The sizing looks like a value bet, and there's the second nuts. Defending versus nuts raising. Decided to peel the turn. Why don't I value bet the river? Because nut raising is not bluffing, representing flush on paired boards. I should have just bet the river. And once again, with multi-way pot, we have the nuts. And let's just pot it, and everyone folds, which is weird. No one hit the flop. Splash money, we have a crappy hand, but position, that's drunken poker. But you just have to fold too much. But the reason why I played almost every hand is that I knew I was down few buy-ins. And the idea is not to play plus EV poker in these fun StreamR Homegames, but I wanted at least to give myself a shot to be the biggest winner, to make money for the people who had picked me in the raffle or the promotion. And the only way is to play almost any hand and hope to get lucky. So if you're wondering now why in the world I'm playing those crappy hands, chasing the flops, it's bad poker, but in one off game if you want to make minus EV plays to have a better shot to be a biggest winner. That's what you have to do. Pocket kings, not flush draw. Then doesn't really help, and Aruklas fires another big bullet. This call here is more like minus EV call, but in order to make the stack, I would need to get deep so I could play versus Aruklas Fan and Chami and Poki. So it's a minus EV call, but I had to make it. Or I don't have to make it, but if I want to get deep, then I have to gamble. So it's far from optimal. I hope no one is watching this without sound and just thinking that is that the poker I'm supposed to play? No, it's far from it. Like super crappy hand, chasing flops, and hitting a flop. And I decided to raise versus Fan in case he has the 7, get the money in. And if he doesn't have a 7, it's hard to get anything. Oops. And now I screwed. Now I lost my hand. There was it. Another pot with bad hand. Now I'm playing almost any hand on as it's super bad. Hello, Plantameri. And we hit the flush draw with some backdoors. Well, we have made minus EV chases so far. Why not make it here? And then we pick up the double cut shot. And not racing decides to lead with the blockers and not flush draw. And Fan calls, and I'm looking like, okay, I have a flush draw with double cut shot. Why not call? In reality, I'm dominated in so many ways that I have only 7% here. I didn't know that one. And then not racing bluffs the river with the blockers representing 3-5. Too bad Fan has 5 blocker, so he's definitely going to make the call, and not racing is caught bluffing and losing a pretty decent sized pot. And now Autoclass and Fan are deep. And then I decided to 3-bet Autoclass, who decides to 4-bet. I decided to call, and then I picked up the flush draw, and I was like, oh, fuck me. 10 euro behind, 12 euro on the pot, and he bets really small. Well, of course, we're going to call. And then we pick up the cut shot too. And now I'm like, oh, I need 24% to call. So if my flush draw is alive, then it's okay. And off the bar, I'm doing fine. Doing a home games review where I play pretty wild poker. And I was wondering, like, if he has aces with hearts, I'm screwed. If he doesn't, I have the odds. Close the season, made it, and we were throwing 4% on the turn. That's not a lot, so nasty setup there. He even had the ace-5, so we were throwing for the split only. And then when I had one ace, there's a chance that he has like pocket kings, where ace isn't out for me. So couldn't fold in, and now at this point I was down like 120 or so, almost 10 buy-ins. Limp pot, was there a splash money? Yeah, 3 BB splash. Everyone limps. We actually have a nice hand for these kind of situations, but don't hit the flop. Small bets all around, and Fan increases the sizing and gets the respect. Yeah, this is run it from run it once. And what sides you play? I play mostly on run it once as much as possible, because Railback is best there. So PLO 20, PLO then occasionally PLO 50. And then if the games are not running on Run It Once, then I play Party Poker. But as much as possible on Run It Once. And as we are now down a lot, the only way is to play almost every hand. Try to get lucky. Get deep. Get setups. So once again, if you're wondering why are you playing, you're already down almost 8 to 10 buy-ins. The idea was that it's not the money. We are not playing here to make money with the maximum EV decisions. It's for fun, and I wanted to keep for my followers or the ones who picked me as a biggest winner. If I now tighten up and just try to damage control, it wouldn't be fun to rail and watch the game. And this is all entertainment. So at least play every hand, give myself a chance to come back and make an most epic comeback ever. The biggest winner is decided in pretty wild hand in, in in the very end of the session. I hope we have the history of that hand. It's crazy. We open not racing and Pokeboots. Run It Once isn't sketchy. I mean it's the best site ever because the customer support works. It's the only site where I can say that I trust the support. And you don't see the names because it's anonymous. That's probably the future of online poker because Phil Kaufman wanted that the HUDs are not available. And the only way to make sure that no one can use a HUD is to have anonymous names. Because if you don't have anonymous names, then there would be uh, HUDs that reads the information from the screen. And then there would be people who have HUDs. And to make sure the games are anonymous, it works fine, and the dynamic avatars are actually quite nice, and then you can make notes. They last 4 hours after the player leaves the table. So I liked it. When I started, I was like, can I play without the HUD? I was so fixated to having HUD. I had played on PokerStars mostly and sites where I have HUD, but I think it's nice. And the best thing is that if you have any problems of any kind, you can go to Discord or you can email them. They reply fast and they actually get the things done. The support understands poker and they want the customers to be happy. No shady deals. If there's any controversial things, they always make the decision favor to players. And they really value the players and the support works. And on other poker sites, every time when I have a problem, I'm I'm kind of pissed off that I have to deal with the support. If you send email, you get automatic reply. So nothing happens there. Then you go to live chat, it takes half an hour before something happens, and even then the customer support has checked the wrong thing and they don't understand anything. And then they say that okay, I'm putting this forward, we will be back to you in 47 weeks. I'll run it once, no problems of whatsoever. Yeah, if you make a note, it lasts 4 hours after either you or the player leaves the table. So if he comes back to the same table, you have the notes and color codes. If the same player comes on different table to your table, you don't know who he is. But on the same table, if he leaves and come back, then you will have the notes on that same table. Nice flop, top pair open ender. Top pair, board pair, should barrel, high fold equity versus poke boots, and picking up the pot there. Oh, you should definitely try Rio. Versus Chami. Oh, nasty. We have the nut blocker and he has the nut flush. Oh boy. Oh, he has even the set. And I made this kind. I was sure he has the flush. So I don't like this, but it's the only way to make a reasonable or threatening sizing raise. Because if I raise the turn, he's probably going to call. The bet is only half a pot, so if I raise pot here, it would be the um, around €6 he's calling, and then I would have only 11 behind. So I decided to make this as long as the board doesn't bear. And Jamie actually went to tank. I think he was at least thinking folding, because what in the world could I have besides the nut flush? He's blocking the queen high flush. I could have a set, but why would I raise it? If I had a set with the nut flush blocker, okay, that makes sense. Could play that way. Or would I do this with naked nut blocker? And he was thinking, because this looks like nut flush board, but I don't think he should ever fold here. Versus me, who was playing like a drunken idiot, which is actually very close to the truth at the moment. And then just going bananas, fighting for the splash money. Bad 3-bet. Could just call and see the flop with awesome odds. But the beer is kicking in and we started to play aggressive. And no phone equity on the flop. Well, let's make a straight. And why do I fold here? Because I'm blocking the 10. So in order for him to have a full house, he would need to have the full house on the flop. And he just calls. Why call the turn and then lead the turn? I mean, call the flop. If he slow plays his hand on the flop, why make a small lead on the turn? And then when I call, I think this is a jack very often. And it's not a jack 8. It could be jack with jack 9, queen jack, and then using it as a blocker to bluff the river. And I fold. I don't get this. Bad pre-flop, bad river. Why isn't my Run It Once app working? It shouldn't be app. It's just software on computer. I don't know why it's not working. I don't know what it says. I don't know what has happened. But if you have a Discord, go to Run It Once Discord and ask their feedback and support. There's almost always someone wake up that you should look out. Okay, I would say that go to Discord and ask there. They will help you probably instantly and see if the problem is in your part or their part. It's super fast. So go to Discord and explain there on the feedback and feedback room, and they will help you. I don't like my fold here with the straight. I'm not sure if I see that I have a straight or do I think I have a 10 only. I don't know what happened here, but this is not a fold the way I played the hand. So, bad me. Bad me. Then Jamie makes 3-bet. He hasn't 3-bet much. And then I hit the top pair. Why not? SPR less than 1. But we have only 36% because he has 2 pairs. And then on the turn we have 85. Nice suck out. Good me. I started to climb back up. I made sort of comeback. Not to profits, but did make something. 3-betting, sorry, not 3-betting, just opening. Cut shot, but ace high board. Poker boots not making moves. Then he calls. Most likely has an ace in his hand because we are blocking the straight draws and he wins the pot. Splash pot, everyone limps, and we pick up just the cut shot. And there's a stab call. Fan check raises. There's a call. Big pot proving up. Both of them are 100 euros deep. Pot and fold. And we don't know what they had. Defending every hand versus fan. This is not a good idea. Because he's seen betting decent amount of times here, and I just have to fold. Oh boy. Not raising. Doesn't fight back. He became a net raising at this point. Back-to-back aces once again. And not raising makes stab with overbear and gut shot. And keeps firing. And I fold. I give respect, so good bet from him. I think he was value betting. But got my respect. And I folded the best hand. Damn. Kings versus aces. And Jammy. Some of the earlier 3-bets, just a few hands ago, he 3-bet ace king then. Previously, he has made a 3-bet with some kind of front down hand. So I thought that, okay, we are almost 200 pp's deep, which sucks. Not sure if I paid attention to that. This deep, I would just like to call. But I thought that, okay, he has decent amount of ace high hands. Versus aces, now we have 34 because he's dominating our flush, but if his range is just ace, ace, x, x, we have 40%. So let's make a 4-bet. And now when he makes this, it's like, oh fuck. Another double suited kings versus aces. And let's just get it in and hope for the best. And we do suck out, which is nice. And this is what we are looking for. Just get lucky. This is weird. Pokeball limps. I don't know if it was a misclick, but there's no splash money. And his hand is very bad. I think this is a misclick. And everyone was surprised at what's happening on. What's happening now? Why did he limp? This is super weird. And no one dares to raise him because it looks so weird. And then, of course, he makes the top pair limps. And I don't know what he's doing here. And not raising has the flush. And fan raises. I don't know what is going on. I think Pokeboots went bananas here. I have no idea what he's doing. Or if it's his cat playing here. This just doesn't make sense in any way. And tough decision for not raising. I mean, we can see that he's crushing Pokeboots. But if you don't see his hand, like, we know that not raising has a 10 high flush. There's a limp. All right. Then you pick up the flush draw and cut shot. Mean bet. What? Well, of course you call. Then you make the third nuts. 10 high flush. And there's a mean bet. And then there's a raise. And you're like, I don't love my third nut flush, but I can't fold it. So you call. And then Mr. Limper makes a mean raise. And at this point, I am quite sure that nut raising didn't really like his 10 high flush. And then the fan who raised folds. Well, no way you can fold this one. And river is a blank. You have to check call, and there's the mean bet. It's so weird. I don't know what kind of trucks Mr. Pokey decided to take here, but that's probably the weirdest hand of the session. Like, what is going on? 2013, so he's picking up the aggression, but that was definitely out of the box. And then there's 1 BB splash. Pokey is mean raising. And this is the very next hand, and we just saw that Pokey is going crazy. So why not 3-bet him with ace king then deuce crap? Not a good idea. Unless I hit the flop, which is the plan here. open not potential, hope to hit a good flop, and then stack 3 peoples and get to 200 euros. That's the plan. And this flop is not for me. And the turn is not for me. So I remember playing and trying to hit any flops. So please hit me on the flop so I can play a big spot. And I just missed flops. Like opening these hands far from optimal, trying to hit flops. With two backdoor flush draws, decided to call here. Weird donk, but on the turn have to give respect. Definitely calling because it's not raising money and picking up the open ender and top pair. I would like to see a raise here versus that sizing. Not sure if I even like the call. Then I make the nuts, and I just decide to eat out. If he has a straight, he's going to call. If he doesn't, he's going to just check back because he has some kind of made hand for sure. And he just fold. Why not open? It's double suited. And then we actually hit the best hand on the flop, but scared to bet. Best hand on the turn, scared to bet. And flush on the river and scared to bet. Oh man, it's weird. I'm so loose pre-flop and so needy post-flop. That beer doesn't do anything good for me. And here I had to take a bathroom break, so I'm posting my blind. Not opens, we call, we miss the flop. Seen that story. Open call, paired board, check, 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 check. And he mean bets. Well, I think that's the slow play of the day. He has the trips versus me, who have been raising paired boards. No bet. On the turn, he has the pretty much effective nuts. No bet. And on the river, mean bet. And I decided to call just to see what he has. Give that 1 BB for good effort. And he has the full house. Oh man. Queens, miss the flop, miss the turn, and people start to bet and raise. Trying to steal, not raising money. Jammy decides to 3-bet. I call, not raising calls, and flop is 7-8 queen. We have a7, and then we have 2 pairs. Not raising has 2 pair. I remember this hand. And I decided to bet because most likely we have the best hand. And not raising calls. And river is a blank. And I was really wondering that it's SPR1. Should we check call and let the not raising bluff us, or should we just pot for value and hope he has a queen high hand that bluff catches us? And I decided to shove, hope he would call with the queen, or he would call with 3 deuce or 7 deuce. I was saying that it might be the thinnest value bet of today. And he snap called, and it was a split pot. It would be awesome if he had 7 deuce. That would be great. Seeing the flop, 2 pairs, full house. We had 1 call and then bet the river, but no. No calls on the river. And now we are picking up the stack. We have 60 euros, so just waiting for that one hand if we could double up or get a 3-way all in. So chasing flops, top 2 pair, Check raise. Jammy folds. Two pairs, bet fold. Nothing special there. Nice double suited. Could even three bet here versus fan because we want to play a big pot with fan. And the best way to get a big pot post flop is to just three bet pre flop. And he just barrels us into oblivion. Jammy three bets. Pocket cold calls three bet. We do, and we flop two pairs. Was about to check raise Jammy. And now just put out two pair and cut shot. And they fold. So almost 60 euros. That's 400 BBs. Almost. We copy pre-flop. Pocket kings on very bad board. I don't know. I don't like the C bet. Board is horrible. Just see the turn. And not raising wins it. Bad for me. Chase the flops. Miss the flop. So why not make why not make a raise in four-way pot? That's solid PLO strategy. We don't even have almost any relevant blockers. But I think versus the fan, we should have fold equity. So I don't hate it. It looks like a tree. So any king X should fold, in my opinion. But he's stubborn. He doesn't fold. And then we actually pick up the cut shot and flush draw. So why not barrel? And I think he makes pretty hero call here. And then on the river we have the flush. And he decides to make us small. I don't know what the idea is that he's trying to make me fold a flush or pocket pair. With those odds, I'm never folding. I don't like it, but not folding. And I think his flop and turn, especially the turn call, where I raise the flop four way and barrel the turn, he has only naked top pair. I think the turn call is pretty bad. But if he had bet bigger on the river, I would fold. Now there's 8 BB splash. So let's see the flop. We have open ender. And then we have pair and open ender. Why not chase it? Do we have any equity? No. Why are we shown any equity? Because we are drawing dead. No. Oh, we are drawing dead. Damn. We do make the straight. But someone has the full house, and Arcas decides to raise. He has the 6 and 4 blockers, but he has the straight too, so I don't like his raise on paired board. And Fan just calls. Wins. I don't like the raise. Why turn the hand into a bluff? Chasing flops, that's the main theme. And then hitting flop. Second nuts with straight flush draw. And everyone folds. I was like, here, I was thinking that, oh boy, now we're going to hit the straight flush and stack people off and win over 200 euros. Didn't happen. Top pair, not raising calls, barreling turn, and he folds. Just as planned. Open call. Why not chase those flops? I played worse hands on this session. And then top pair with a cut shot. Top two pairs. I would like to bet here. And then it's just a fold and Jammy wins. Pick up pre-flop. Finally a good hand. 3-bet call. Flopping nuts. We He's gonna call. Nice. Let's start to bet. We have 2 pairs, so if he has ace queen or queen 9, we are in a great shape. But no. No action on the turn. Bummer. Queens versus not raising. And now comes the turn. Earlier he made the same. Oh, he actually had a 5 and the nut both on the turn. But now I should raise a little in case he has the 5 and he thought he had a bluff this time, which sucks. There was a nice chance to pick up some money. Wrap versus nut. Planning to check raise, he didn't bet. Let's make the straight and then value bet the river. No action. There's myself on the small blind with quality hand. Once again. And boom. Bottom pair and flush draw. And not improving, he wins with queens. Not raising 3 bets, well, haven't folded so far almost anything, so why would fold here? Open ender and flush draw. Decided to check because it could be dominated. So happy to see the turn for free. Not raising, could check raise here with aces or kings of diamonds. So then making the flush, and I don't know if this was a misclick. I think it was a misclick. Because if I want to induce, I would bet just like €1 something. If I remember right, this was a misclick. And then I made full house on the river. Now not raising started to play back. Nice hand, let's call. And just miss the flop. Miss the turn. Pocket eights. Flopping overpair and flush draw. And both of them call, which was not the plan. Then I have the cut shot. Unlikely that they have a 5-6 when they just call with those stack sizes. So why not put it and generate fold equity? And they both fold. 3 BB splash. Let's limp. Fan opens aces. We call. And pick up pair, cut shot, flush draw. 2 pairs. And then 2 pairs with the blocker. Let's just check it back. And he has 9-5, so he makes 9-5 on the river. We have 9-8. And we win small pot. There we are once again with a really bad hand. Oh boy. Why am I chasing the flops? Once again. Just playing every hand at this point, trying to hit something. Trying to make a huge setup and come back as a winner. Top pair. And then trips. And picking up the small pots. So it's working. Strategy is working. From 16 to 90. Without... There was this one kings versus aces where I got the 100 PB in as an underdog and sucked out. But after that, there hasn't been many situations where I need to suck out. But I've built a lot of small pots. So the strategy is not horrible because people are folding quite a lot. Open ender. I should fold here. Yes. Three bet. Going to call it. Miss the flop. Miss the turn. Miss the river. And we... Oh, he had a jack. We didn't even win it. Some splash money, so let's limp along. And he only caught shot. And Arcos does a lot of these half a pot donks on splash pots. Would be nice to see what kind of hands he has there. Defending big blind versus Jammy. I hope I raise here. No, would be nice spot to make a small raise. Because, let's go back. Because we have a queen and 7, which doesn't give us a hand, but they work as a blockers to pretty much all the straight draw hands. All the wraps would need to have at least queen or 7 in it, so we are blocking the wraps. So if he bets here and we raise, we are blocking a lot of kind of hands that could bet call, unless they have a 10 or something. So I would like to see a raise there. It's calling with, oh sorry, double suited jacks, flopping the trips. Now we raise, he calls, and then just try to barrel as much as we can. No action. 4BB splash. Of course we see the flop, and we pick up 2 pair and open ender. Too bad Fan has 2 pair and open ender too. And we have 2 backdoor flush draws, so let's start. We are so deep that I kind of like this one. If they had 8-9, they would probably have bet or they check raise and we can fold. But when we are this deep that the SPR is around 30, then the river equity is what matters more than flop equity. So to win those big pots, it's the easiest when you make backdoor flushes and so on. So I decided to bet the flop with 2 backdoor flushes in case I make either one of them. People give me credit for having a straight, they could bluff on those flushing runouts and so on. And then we have the same hands, both of us having 2 pairs. Rainbow flop, let's spot control. And then board pairs, and the fan decides to lead. The important thing is that board pairs on turn and river, which means that in order for him to have a full house, he would need to have 7-7 or 7-8, most likely because we are blocking the 5 and 6. Well, both of those make sense. He could have 7-8 for sure. He could have 7-7 for sure. But the sizing is so big that that's what was curious. That okay, 7-8 would bet. When we check the turn, we probably have set or some kind of straight very often, or just the blockers. But the sizing is so big that why pot or close to pot if he actually had the really strong hand, and I make a bluff catch and we split the pot. But he put me in a nasty situation there. Splash pot, missing it. How many hands we have? Okay, we don't have that many. 10 or so. Session is closing in. Well, not potential, why not open? Missing the flop, why not bluff? Not raising calls with just a queen high flush draw. Oh, he decides to raise. He has the 8 blocker. And I think if this was a 6 of clubs, it would be better blocker. Because now he's blocking only the top part of the straight. But I have no idea how can we end up in showdown. Oh, we don't. So not raising shows his hand. That's why we know his hand. He showed it that he was bluffing me. I was wondering that, was I so drunk that I would call here? Because that's the only way we can see the hand unless he shows it. But luckily I wasn't that drunk. That would have been a bad. Alright, pocket aces. Let's 3-bet. I was hoping like get it in versus fan and just sucking out. Aces versus aces or something. Didn't Just folding. Pocket tens. I was desperate here. The time was running out. I had the stack. If I could get big all in, I could climb up from the hole. And Sammy 3-bets and picks it up on the river. No action. 3 BB splash. Opening jacks. 3-way and flopping flush draw with possible straight blockers. Half a pot bet. Check and other has. Not sure what he has, but reads me like an open book. That line doesn't really work versus decent players. Trying to hit any miracle flop versus fan, so calling with every hand. But can't hit the flops. Defending big blind. Just folding. Not raising 3-bets. We call, and we flop pair and open ender. I would like to see myself betting here versus his 3-betting range. And I mean, now he makes a 10 on the river and I just gave him the pot. Should have bet the flop for protection and fold equity. What? Do I 3-bet? Oh man, Pokey is playing very tight, but he's deep. Well, I kind of hoped here. Remember, I hoped that he would 4-bet. And then he would have aces, and he might overplay those, and we could actually pay €150 pot here. But he didn't. I would like him to 4-bet instead of calling. And then just let's stab the flop with backdoors. Then we make the straight. Now we start to value bet in case he has the 8 or overpair. And he folded. So we are picking up €82 already. Chase the flop. Pair and cut shot. And nothing on the turn. Crappy hand, picking up blinds. Desperately looking for the action. I don't know why I limp. That has to be another misclick. Shouldn't open the hand either. It's Jack 10 6-4. Or then I was posting that. Did I? No, it's just the limp. Hitting the top pair, so why not lead out? Nice turn. And then we have the full house. And Arcus fold. Not sure what he could have that folds the river. Just the trips maybe. 4 BB splash, not raising limps. Well, we pot it because we have the Broadway pocket pair. And we missed the flop. And I don't know, I might have stolen this move from Pokey Boots that min bet the flop. And he decides to min raise me. So I decide to call, and then Chammy says, fuck you all, and pots the flop. And everyone folds. He is a kind of party spoiler. We had a fun thing going on, and then he showed up. I was wondering here that, is this the time to say vamos and just 3-bet bad kings? But decided to call, and not raising goes bananas. Well, he has only 100 BBs. We have, I don't know even how many, 500. 5 to 600 BBs here. And then Chammy goes bananas. He said that let's gamble, and we can see their hands. But let's go back. Open, UTG, 3-bet in UTG Open. Cold call 3-bet, we call. And versus UTG Open, 3-bet, cold call, not raising, 4-bets, and jammy shoves. So it looks quite damn strong. And then Hourglass makes a shove, and now I was like, God damn, there's not enough aces for all of them, and each one of these, not raising, jammy, and Hourglass, screams for pocket aces. And then I was like, oh damn. If two of them had aces, what could the third one have? He couldn't have ace high rundown. So there could be aces, and some kind of rundown, but versus two aces. If it was double suited, I would like to get in. I was wondering that should I try to gamble and suck out, but what if they have aces, and kings, and we are drawing dead? And I decided to fold. We are so deep. And now, when looking at the hands, well, we don't even have the best equity. We are tying the top spot with Jammy, who has 6-9-5-5, because they are blocking each other so heavily. But probably shouldn't have folded here. Now looking back, but this is a wild hand. I understand this one. Double suited aces, double suited queens with ace blocker 100 pips deep. This I get. This Jammy I don't get, and this Hourglass deciding the raise and willing to play 90 euro with that hand, not even double suited, not suited to ace. And they decide to get it in, and then Hourglass wins with ace 10 on the river. 67 euro pot. And I don't understand why they are not drunk maniacs like me on this game. They have played quite solid conservatively. I don't know why they decided to get it in here on this hand. All right, let's limp and call nut raising because we love nut raising. Two pairs versus flush. Two pair and open ender. Well, let's stab. And nut raising, oh man, the slow player. Having their nuts with top two pair. And then the river pairs, and he decides to value bet on pairing river with the jack high. But I don't know. I don't know why he does that. Because in my mind, once again, is this a value bet or bluff? And nut raising is not here, so we cannot even ask him. If it's a bluff, then is he expecting me to fold a king high flush or better if I play it this way? And if it's a value, is he expecting to me call with a small flush? And he shows it. And I don't know why. But where is... We are missing one hand. Um. We are missing a very big hand, which is here. Because it's 100 pp splash. And I don't know why this was missed from the previous one. This is deciding, this is the last hand with king, queen, then 5 was the last hand. Arcos was already seen out. This is the last hand of the session. And remember, the biggest winner gives money to everyone who beat him. And No, it's not this one. What is going on here? Why do they? Because we have a 100 BP splash that was huge, but I just can't find it. But how in the world do they get the money in here? This is not the 100, or was this? Uh, let me see. Let me see. Let me see. 3 BB added. Oops. Sorry, I'm trying to find where is the big splash? Where is the big splash? Because there was 100 BB splash, and I got the hand history. It was on the hand history files, but now I can't see it. It was probably the one that we saw. We had the ace king 8-5, but if I remember right, oh, now I remember what's going on. Now I remember. Sorry, memory comes back. So we decided that when not raising has the button, that will be the last hand. So everyone knew here that this is uh, last hand or next to last. A fan thought this was the last hand. And I think that was it that Aruklas was the biggest winner at the moment, and he folded. So now Porky Boots and Fan probably thought that in order to be the biggest winner, they need to win a big pot right now. And Porky Boots actually has a hand, so what Fan thought that he needs to gamble to have a shot, and these are pennies for him anyway. So he pots it. iPhone not ready to pot, and Chammy decides to make code 4, but I don't know why. It's probably because it's the last hand. And Pokeboots was quite annoyed here. What should he do? And I don't know what kind of bankroll Pokeboots has, but he has played very tight, 25-13 so far. So where did our hand go? So he's playing tight. It's not the spot he likes because he's 70 euro deep with the fan who has 3-bet. And both of them couldn't have aces. So he says, I remember he said that something like, I'm praying and just get it in and hope it turns out well. And Fan thought that, okay, let's gamble. It's the last hand, last chance. Let's shove it. Chummy says YOLO. And Pokeboots is facing tough decision, 50 euros more versus this is the 3-bet, 4-bet, 5-bet. This is the 6-bet. And he has ace blocker. But if the fan has aces, he's crushed. So he decides to get it in, and then we have a huge, almost 160, almost 10 buy-in pot in pretty much the last hand of the session to decide who's the winner. And then we get it in, and the flop is 227. Looking good for Mr. Pokey. Oh, he kind of loved that flop. Then comes the 9. Oh, that's looking great. 67. There's open ender, but for the side pot, he's crossing. The fan needs an ace or 7 or 8, and one ace is down, 2 aces are down. So the fan has here, he has 1 ace in the deck, and then he has 3 8s in the deck. So he has 4 outs and then 2 7s. So total of 6 outs. And for the sake of drama, you know what the river is. It's the 7. So 6 outer on the river for 1,000 BB pot, and the fan scoops it up, being the biggest winner of the session. And that was a crazy, crazy way to finish the session. So that was the YOLO moment. That's so crazy. And it wasn't the 100 BB splash, which I remember first. It was just, this is the last hand of the session. Let's gamble it up. And ace 5 7 6 decides to make a pretty much cold 6 bet and wins 10 buy-in pot YOLO. And oh, it's so crushing for Poke Boots. The fan had 6 outs on the river. It's crushing. Oh, 5, because there's only 2 8s, so sorry. Only 5 outs. I was too optimistic. Only 5 outs on the turn. 5 outer. So, that's PLO. And that's pretty much the session. I feel that hands where I had VPIP through, it was around 170 hands. I played 120 hands out of those. Too bad we don't see the whole cards on the way. I hope it will be fixed until we have the next StreamR Homegames. And it would be nice if we could get the stream where there's only one stream and all the whole cards are shown in that stream. It's under construction. I hope we can make it, because that makes the watching way more easier. You don't need multi-twitches or anything, just one stream on running one's poker, and you can see all the whole cards there. That would be great. But I hope you enjoyed. Took 1.5 hours, played a lot of hands, and there were definitely some questionable plays from me quite a lot, but it was super fun, and I liked that. I tried to make the comeback. Didn't went to turtle mode, but decided I'm going to fight until the last hand. But on the last hand, I remember that I want to get it in. I want to gamble in the end, but my hand is so bad. So I had to miss and skip the last hand. But it was fun, super fun moments. And if you were watching it on live with all the audio from the streamers, I hope you enjoyed. Those are fun things. Poker is not, it's not that serious all the time. You can have fun. All right. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later. Going to stream on the weekend, and let's go from there. Have fun, and bye bye.